On this trip I'm travelling through Queensland on the way to Winton and stopping throughout the Brigalow region and Welford National Park. Moving from fragmented woodlands into more arid interiors, the trip became as much about understanding landscapes as it was about finding reptiles. Herping in places like this isn't just a search for species, it's a way of reading the country. The land out here can be harsh, and the animals that make it their home are resilient. Shingleback skinks are a perfect example. Slow moving and heavily armoured, these long-lived reptiles are well suited to their environments where resources fluctuate. Shinglebacks are generalist feeders, making use of flowers, fruits and invertebrates, whatever is available throughout the seasons. They usually occupy the same home range and form monogamous pairs. The presence of this species can be used as an indicator for available resources. Their tendency to be homebodies also leaves them vulnerable to habitat clearing, however. It is often difficult to define a type of ecosystem. In this national park near Morven, you can see influences of the typical Brigalow woodland, which once proliferated throughout much of the area. There are also species often found in mulga shrublands. When you include the microhabitats that permeate throughout the landscape, it becomes nearly impossible to define this area as a single type of ecosystem. However, the most interesting part of this habitat for me is the Ulian tree. The sole species of its genus, this threatened species is the epitome of resilience. It is a rainforest remnant tree that has outlived the rainforest. As Australia aridified and much of its Gondwanan rainforest disappeared, replaced by a dry, open woodland and desert, this tree remained. Ulian has already seen a significant population decline due to clearing for agriculture. The pale-headed snake is one reptile that relies greatly on the presence of trees. Despite spending time on the ground, pale-headed snakes are frequent tree climbers. They are commonly found moving throughout hollow-bearing trees, climbing trunks and branches, and hiding beneath loose bark. They feed on prey that also utilizes these shelters, like frogs and geckos. These predators benefit from structural complexity rather than dense vegetation. The presence of mature trees with hollows, fallen branches, and leaf litter all become habitat and contribute to the health of the ecosystem and the survival of species. Road cruising can be a great way to find reptiles when the conditions are right. They often use the warm road for thermoregulation or simply cross it in their search for prey. Unfortunately though, this puts them at risk of being run over by cars. This dead spotted black snake is proof that not only do reptiles have to endure the harsh conditions of nature, but also have to survive habitat destruction and car collisions from humans. The grey snake is a rarely encountered snake, another threatened species for the area. Its limited distribution has left it vulnerable to the extensive land clearing. Normally diurnal, this young blue tongue was active at night. Diurnal species can sometimes avoid the extreme temperatures of the day by being active at night and early morning. Curl snakes are one of the most commonly found snakes in the Brigalow region. Burton's legless lizard is one of the most successful reptiles in Australia, being found throughout much of the country. At first glance, it's often mistaken for a small snake, but looking closer at its ear openings and fleshy tongue confirms it is not a snake. In this area, Burton's legless lizards live and hunt in leaf litter, fallen trees, cracking soils, and grass. Ecologically, this species is a specialist predator of other lizards, feeding largely on skinks and other geckos. Its slender body and flexible skull allow it to hunt effectively in narrow spaces, from soil cracks to dense vegetation. Leaving the Brigalow behind, I head further west. From there, the landscape opens dramatically as we move into Welford National Park. This is channel country. Wide floodplains and flat expanses in continual cycles of drought and floods. The scale of the environment becomes a central character in itself, and long stretches of country pass with little visible movement. Reptiles here are finely tuned to extremes. A central bearded dragon basking openly uses elevated positions to absorb heat quickly and remain alert to predators. The eastern beaked gecko is rarely seen during the day, sheltering deep within burrows in the sand to avoid temperature extremes and dehydration. Its presence is a reminder that survival in arid systems often depends on staying hidden rather than being active. Welford is not a place of constant encounters, but when animals do appear, they feel completely embedded in the landscape. The absence of movement for long periods makes each sighting more meaningful, reinforcing how much of arid ecology is defined by patience and restraint. The animal tracks in the sand is a good measure of the previous night's activity. This may look like a desolate landscape, but the closer you look, the more you see. There are many species of plants and invertebrates here that are found nowhere else on Earth, and require these harsh conditions to live. This is the result of millions of years of changing environments. The final destination for the trip was Winton. Some minor rain had brought out the frogs, the usually drab grass turned to lush green. It also made some roads impassable. I was here not long before some truly catastrophic floods moved through. Reptile activity here was quite minimal until nightfall. Bro, I just thought this was a snake. That is a... Oh, that is a monster. The size of that. That's just donk and centipede. Here's a male cincta. They get fairly big too. The main target of the trip was Nephurus eremanga, the eremanga knobtail gecko. This recently described species is confined to the jump-ups in the Eremanga Basin, rock formations that are elevated high above the surrounding floodplains. Thankfully, I was able to find one crossing the road, as finding one in its rocky habitat would have been very difficult with its camouflage, even with eye shining. This nocturnal predator would be on the hunt for invertebrates, which were in abundance after the recent rain. alive, please. It is alive! Oh my god. Hello, beautiful. My goodness. Ho 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 ho! Hey, darling. Wow. Hello. What a stunner. First black-headed in the wild. Wow. Hello. Look at the tongue now. Ooh. Gosh, it would have been a shame if this one had been clipped, hey? Finding a target species in suboptimal conditions is always rewarding, and road cruising can make it a little easier. Black-headed pythons aren't uncommon through their range, but I had started to get doubts about finding one. Black-headed pythons are one of the more unique pythons you'll find in Australia. Aside from their distinctive black head, which they can use to thermoregulate, they also lack heat-sensing pits along their jaw. This is because they primarily feed on other cold-blooded reptiles, including venomous snakes. Finding my first black-headed python was definitely one of the most memorable experiences of the trip. Yeah. Little curl snake. Cool. I thought you were dead. Cool. Got a bit of an odd shaped head, this one. The eastern brown snake is perhaps the most notorious snake in Australia. I want to point out that its initial reaction to my approach was to flee. These animals want to be left alone to live their lives, but have become victims of their own success. They are remarkably adaptable, even living in suburban areas, which can often put them in conflict with people. But fleeing and hiding is a much more successful strategy to escape potentially deadly predators. Although, when a brown snake feels cornered, it can put on a highly intimidating display. Not often seen throughout the night, this encounter is a testament to their intelligence to be able to adapt and respond to changing conditions throughout the seasons. The world can be a dangerous place for a hatchling children's python. Their small size and easygoing temperament has led them to be a popular pet to keep, but finding them in the wild is just as, if not more, rewarding. These snakes are true generalists, feeding on whatever vertebrates are available. Their large distribution spans through a diverse range of habitats.
Right. Bummer. Well, we got our Colette's. Gosh, such a beautiful snake.
A disappointing end to the trip. I found this young Colette snake dead on the road. Perhaps the most sought after target species for herping in this area. I hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to more nature-based content in the future. Thank you.